Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good
How's
morning.
everyone?
Oh, hello. It's 8:30 already. Okay. All right, Bob, do you think it's 8:30? Should we go ahead and start? Do we, Pam, do we have pretty much everyone we think to start with? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I've got two computers going here to try and do this so I can show things on the screen. Yeah, the only person who said they couldn't come was Bob Proust.
Bob, okay. Okay, then, again, good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone. I guess it's good to be seen. So the time is 8:31. And before we have the roll call, I'm not going to introduce. I just want to acknowledge that we have a new commissioner, Janine Fabic, and we'll have our new mayor, Mayor Charlie Ream on, and I do see you. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll?
Certainly. Ms. Weber?
Here.
Mr. Aiken?
Here.
Mr. Conrad? I see that he's here.
He's here.
Mr. Goldberg? Absent. Ms. Fabic?
Here.
Here. Mr. Fredrickson?
I'm here.
Mr. Wislinski?
Here.
Mr. Prost? Still don't see him yet.
No, he won't be on.
Okay, Mr. Roberts? Absent. And Mayor Ream? See that he's present. He's acknowledged.
Yes. Okay.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. As always, we have a great attendance at these. I totally appreciate all of the commitment our commissioners, great commissioners make to our Ways and Means. And okay, so I would like to then now introduce our new mayor, Mayor Ream. And if you wanted to take a second to say a couple words, that'd be great.
Well, thank you, Sue. As she said, I'm Charles Ream, and excited about the next 4 years, and certainly look forward to working with the folks on the Ways and Means Committee. And as I said in the initial Board of Aldermen meeting, pretty much my door is open. Anytime you want to meet with me at City Hall over any issues, feel free to give Ashley a call, and we'll be happy to set that up. Like I said, excited for the next 4 years. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank Okay, and Janine, would you like to give us a brief comment?
Well, I'm thrilled to be a part of this committee. I love being involved in anything that I feel I can help with. I love town and country, and pretty much lived here my whole life, and I'm a former CPA, and do my best to be a good input to the committee, and I'm looking forward to serving.
Thank you, and we're very fortunate to have our new mayor and to have our new commissioner. Thank you. Okay, let's go to approving our agenda for this meeting. Do we have any concerns or comments to approve the agenda? And I don't see anything, so can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, we have so moved, and we have a second?
Second, this is
Second.
Hans.
Thank you, Hans. Okay. All right. So we'll follow our agenda as you all received in your packets. Okay, so we also, and in taking a note of that, my copy of the agenda has the timing identified. Bob, does everyone's copy of the agenda have that?
No, Alderman,
No.
that was just to kind of give us some guidelines internally for us to try to keep on tab so we could adjourn approximately by 10 a.m. So everybody could.
Okay, so Bob and I will attempt to keep us on track. We do have a hard stop at 10 o'clock. We will do our best to get there. If there are things we need to continue, Bob and I also talked about a follow-up meeting that will be coming. We have a lot of very critical information to cover, though parts of it will be, we'll explain. Bob can cover how we will continue on a process to move forward, but to utilize the best time today with what we have to get done and where we are in any process. So I may be talking really too fast. If I am, I can slow it down, so just let me know. Okay, so we have on our agenda, okay, let's have the minutes. So you received the minutes from the January 15th meeting in your packet for review. And do we have any comments or additions, corrections for the minutes? Randy?
I noticed on page 2 that the Fox child is misspelled. It should have HOC, Fox child. It's on page 2. Mr. Trippy misreads in response to questions stated that Hochschild is blue, just to correct the spelling of that.
Okay. We'll
And then
get
the other question I had, item number 4, the final budget, where it speaks to fire and ice. Was that going to proceed this year, or was that canceled?
Go ahead,
So,
Bob.
Madam Chair, if I could address that. So we do plan to have fire and ice this year. The county is loosening regulations. We're going to begin the concert series. So we do plan to have fire and ice. It won't be in September. I believe it's October, but we moved it back a little bit just to provide a little bit of relief with COVID. But we do plan to proceed with fire and ice.
Okay.
Okay, and as anything in this world we live in today, everything is subject to change of regulations. So we have those addition correction. Do I have a motion?
Hold it.
So moved by Hans. Thank you. Do we have a
Wait a
second?
minute.
It was not me.
Oh, I'm
This
sorry.
Oz, can you guys
Oz.
hear me?
Yes,
This is Oz Conrad. Can you hear me?
yes, yes.
Good. I have one question. And it's related to a question I asked at the last meeting. And it's under this item number 1, pre-audit presentation, 3rd line down. Where it
This
says
is in the minutes, what you're talking about, right?
This is in the minutes. Yeah, I just have a question. It doesn't, I'm not
Okay.
going to make a change, but I still want to get this clarified relative to the sentence that's here in these minutes. It says he explained the purpose of the annual audit and the need for the single audit this year to the CARES Act funds received. Well, there is no audit due. There is no audit because of the CARES Act fund, is there?
Yes,
There is?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Even though we didn't receive some of the funds until 2021, they were for 2020. So they were accrued back to 2020, which bumped us over the $750,000.
Okay, because I didn't remember the CARES Act thing being applied here. Okay, that's fine. That answers the question.
So we had, I believe we had a motion to approve and a second of the
I'll
minute. Pardon?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Thank you. Okay, now we have on the agenda the listing of selection of a vice chairman. Now, at this point, I would like to acknowledge our new alderman, Jeff Peratt, who has served as our Ways and Means Vice Chair for a very short time. I know we all appreciated Jeff's willingness to volunteer to be our vice chair. If there was a great award to present, we could present Jeff the award for probably our shortest serving vice chair of Ways and Means. But now we're very fortunate that he is our new Ward 4 alderman. So you want to comment briefly, Jeff? I mean, Alderman Peratt.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's been a great pleasure serving with Ways and Means, and I truly leave the commission with trepidation, because I enjoyed working with all of you and dealing with those items that we had to discuss. It was always a great amount of very positive exchange, and the commission has such an active and intelligent, knowledgeable group that the city is definitely in great hands. When Sue and I first started talking about me joining the commission, I never dreamt in a million years that I would be sitting here talking to you as a newly elected alderman. So, I hope that I can bring to the city in my new capacity, some of the things that I brought to the commission. So I wish you guys good luck. And of course, my door is always open as well. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Good luck to you too.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, now back to the selection of a vice chair. Pam, did you have a question?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bob, did you have a comment?
Even goodbye to Alderman Perot.
Oh, yes, that was the way. Okay, sorry.
I was just waiting.
All right. Okay, and it will be so nice when we're all back in person. Even if we have to breathe some of the same air, we'll be healthy, we'll survive, and we'll have to get some of this. Okay, so back to the item, selection of a vice chair. What I would at this point like all of you to consider is in the next few weeks, we would have a volunteer. Again, I'm asking for a volunteer to serve as vice chair. We will hopefully be addressing that in the next few weeks. So our next meeting, we will have a new vice chair for this commission. So, all right. Okay, I'm really trying to watch the clock, but any comment about anyone want to volunteer right now? Okay, well, we'll hold it and hopefully next meeting we will have that. Okay, on our agenda then, the annual review of the investment policy. And Pam, are you ready for that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Thank you.
you. I did email out the investment policy to everyone. It has not changed since we updated it in 2019. I just wanted to see if any of the commission members had any opinion on any changes to it or modifications. We are following it. I don't see any issues with it, but and open to comments from the commission.
Yes, Randy, please.
Question here on page 3, where it talks about Roman numeral 5, authorized financial dealers and institutions. Is there a limit as to how much, you find it? Is there a limit as to how much money you will give to each broker to manage? just for federal government, FDIC protection, I guess that's the word. But I didn't know if there's a dollar limit per broker that you are confined to or limited to for that kind of reason.
Thank you, Randy. It's not, there's not a limit on the brokers. It's a limit on the actual investments. So we would not on the, right. It's so on like on, it has to, any investment that we make has to, of course, be federally insured, which is why we limit the CDs to under 250,000 because the 250 is their limit. So we don't have a limit on the brokers themselves. It's more the limits based on the type of investment. And the investment policy does give us guidelines also on how much maximum we can have in each type of investment.
Okay, any further questions on that? Okay, oh, yes, Oz.
I got a couple of questions. Some of these may be a little technical. I don't know. First of all, I went back and looked at the investment summary that we all got a couple of weeks ago as of March 31st. Okay. And I have a couple of questions about that. I also looked at the balance sheets. And if I can find it, you've got, let's start with the balance sheet, Pam. You've got, is it $1.9 million in park funds that's sitting in cash and $1.5 million in the road fund sitting in cash? Is that money invested in anything? Because there's no market, it shows marketable securities with none under those funds. What do you do? Put that money in repos? Is that what you do?
All of it, all of the investments show under the general fund, just really for ease of, I'm trying to find my balance sheet. So the investments are all showing under the general fund.
Right.
And then what I do is any investment returns get split up to the individual funds based on the cash in bank. So we do have, over 5 million sitting that's in securities versus versus the 6 million. I'm looking at the end of 2020. At the end of that's sitting in cash. That money that's in cash gets invested every night through the bank in repos. Now that interest rate is at the moment varies between 0.04% and 0.05%.
Wow.
So it's very low. But then again, our regular investments are in the 20, the 2%, or I'm sorry, the point in the 2% range or 0.2% range. Sorry. So we're not really getting much investment either way. I have not been comfortable putting more money at this point into investments just because the market is so low, and I hadn't been putting more in during the last year because I didn't know what was going to happen with our sales tax. So I have been very conservative in what we're investing. And I'm hoping that the new finance director will have more time to actually do some analysis of our cash flows so that then we can decide whether or not more money can go into the investments rather than just the overnight investments, which isn't really doing us very much good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you got 1 minute
Oh, only 1 minute?
to keep us on track.
Okay, well, I'll just then I'll just tell you what, I'll call somebody and they can tell me about this. Okay? 1 minute.
Sorry, no respect, but we have a
I
lot of
know,
other
I
going
know.
to be asking, so.
Okay, well then, let me tell you a couple of things I have questions about. Not
Okay.
that I'm suggesting any changes, but I guess Pam, you'll have to get back to me. I'm looking at page 3 of 6, item 5, okay? These authorized financial dealers and institutions. I got a couple of questions about, do we really follow that procedure? You and I can discuss that on the phone.
Okay. And we
Okay?
do.
You do, okay, then I need to, on page 5 of 6, under collateralization. I don't understand how that works. So let's have a discussion about that sometime, okay?
Okay.
And the same thing with Roman numeral 9, safekeeping and custody. I don't understand how this works either. Not that I'm suggesting any changes, because we've probably been doing this for the last 20 years, but it's just something after I read it, I said, I really don't understand that very
Okay.
well.
Okay, thank
So,
you. And I was,
When you
Go ahead.
get time, give me a call and you and I can discuss those things. How's that
All
sound?
right. I'll
All
do
right.
that.
and I was
And
like, do
One other question. This Brinwick thing, which is on the investment report, if I can find it, the
Yes.
Brinwick loan, does something like that has to be covered by our investment policy?
What I,
Do we consider it the same type of thing as the other investments?
I don't know.
Okay, fine.
okay,
Okay.
thank you. And I was like, do appreciate the depthness, if that's a word, of how you look at things, analyze. So,
And
okay, so can we
And you-
move on to the, Bob, you're going to cover the update on the state audit petition?
Excuse me, Madam Chairman. Could we have a vote on approving or
Apologize. Yes,
reapproving the policy?
I move approval, or
Thank you,
whatever you
Oz.
call it.
Second, this is Hans.
okay, thank you. So we have a motion to approve the annual review of the investment policy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or aye or thumb.
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. We have that approved. Okay, now let's go to Bob for an update on the state audit.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I think most of you are aware, the petitioners did obtain the necessary signatures, and the state has certified that they have received those, the state auditor's office. They did send us a notification. I contacted them to ask if they had a start date or even a window. They do not have any idea at this point when they will start. They have not assigned a audit manager for that, but I did indicate whenever they're ready, we will cooperate 100%. And just a little follow-up for this commission, so you're aware, as we all know, Pam will be retiring June 9th. She has agreed to stay on contractually to help us with that process, which I think is fantastic. So we will be hopefully well-staffed to address the state audit. We are in the process, I'll just fill it in now, of interviewing. We have advertised broadly for the finance director for Pam's replacement. Obviously, will be difficult to replace, but we have begun that process.
What's the scope around that? I know is the scope pretty well defined around the new, the Town and Country Center and the other projects, or could it turn into a much broader audit?
No, it could turn into an extremely broad audit. The state auditor's office has indicated the cost to us to reimburse them will be approximately $130,000. They expect it to take about, I believe, 18 months.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever they decide to open up and dig into, they can open up and dig into.
Can we Are we allowed to stick Oz on him and have him work his magic?
Holy
or-
mackerel. 18 months.
Great. That it's a great idea.
I said, I want a motion that Oz is part of the defense team.
Well, I'm assuming that's a tongue-in-cheek motion, but I think we can hold that for another day, and that's always out there.
Well, we got 18 months to worry about it. Gee whiz.
And
Uh,
I'm Bob, did you, because of many of the concerns, can you report on filling the Public Works Director position? And
So
that process?
that position remains open. Our staff has been doing a fantastic job filling in. When need be, we do have a consulting engineer that we can call on a contractual basis. We are still in the process. That position is still open. Again, we've advertised widely for that. The availability of qualified civil engineers interested in the position has not been strong. So if anybody knows of a licensed civil engineer interested in working for a fantastic city, please send them my way.
All right, thank you. So any questions about the update? And we will continue to update you as we know more, but right now we're kind of, I believe we're in holding pattern. And I know that the teams, the audit teams they put together, a lot of those are just kind of moving parts depending on what other government entities bigger than Town and Country and more pressing to the state. That line, that position is very fluid based on what I was told a couple months ago. Okay.
Can I ask, are you in the process of getting the annual audit done?
Yes, and that is something I was going to discuss because we are very close to finishing, so we will need a meeting. Hopefully, we can talk about it some more about the end of May in order to have that presentation by our auditors.
And then your performance audit is starting soon?
The kickoff for the performance audit will begin May 5th.
Well, that's a shame. You're going to have people in there for quite some time.
Yep.
We will. And we're in a precarious, well, we're in a place where the board just felt we needed to be proactive, and we're working forward as much as we can to answer any concerns moving forward. Okay, I see no other questions about our comments regarding the state audit petition for the.
Randy has a comment.
He's got a question.
I'm sorry, don't have you. Okay, Randy, please.
I think they decided on 2 audits, the one with the management partners on top of the state audit. Why was that chosen to do? Because I thought that'd be pretty demanding to perform, to do. Why did the Board of Aldermen decide to have 2 of them?
Well, and I will say the performance audit is different than the financial audit. If you're talking about those overlapping, Bob, do you want to weigh in on that?
I didn't hear the question, but
No, she's talking about why this other special audit. In other words, what is it?
State audit?
No, it's an item down here. Where is it?
Management partners audit.
Number
You're
8.
gonna have
No,
the
she's
state audit.
questioning why. we
Okay,
have
let's
to have
let
the
Bob
state-
answer
She's
this.
questioning, we have to have the state audit. Why are we doing number 8?
Okay, Bob, you want to answer?
Isn't that right?
Right.
the
Bob,
board,
you want to answer that?
correct. The board authorized entering into an agreement with management partners that had been discussed more than a year ago to bring this firm in. They specialize in public works, performance management analysis to look at the the three projects that have been raised of concern, those being Clayton and Ballas Town Square and the Mason Road Trail. Again, they are professional public works individuals who will look through all of our processes and make immediate recommendations for improvement.
Bob, if
Now-
I could comment on that quickly, is
Please.
just that the, I think, obviously I was just mayor-elect and just listened to that meeting, but at that time, it seemed to me the thought of Mayor Dalton and the board at that time was the state audit is going to take 18 months. There are people who are, enough of them were upset enough to sign a petition that waiting 18 months didn't seem like the most prudent way to go to try to get an answer to people's concerns. I think there's also a strong feeling that city funds were not misused and they welcomed the audit. And why don't we, for a much smaller price, go ahead and get this one done, make sure it's done independently, and try to get some answers out sooner than waiting 18 months where rumors and other things can fester for that period of time. Sue, you were at the meeting, Bob, we were there. I think that's a fairly accurate assessment of why their decision was to go ahead so that we didn't have to sit and knowing that we will have another answer in 18 months, but to have a preliminary answer from a truly independent organization in a much shorter time frame seemed like a prudent way to go.
I would agree, Mayor.
Spot on, yes.
See, and I
Okay.
thought, Bob, you can correct me if this is the case or not, but I thought that the state audit would take into consideration some of the work the management partners audit did or in the whatever they came up with. But then I understand that's not true.
I spoke with the state auditor's office earlier this week. They indicated they will look at any information we have, including our internal financial audit and any other reports the city has to present.
If it will be there if they choose to look at it. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, now I see no other questions or comments on that, but good. That's always good conversation. Okay, couldn't we go to the preliminary 2020 ending financial data? And that would be Pam.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I did send out information, and I do have it that I can bring it up on the screen if anybody has any questions. I just wanted to give you just a quick kind of overview of where we were when we kind of put this together. I wasn't sure how quickly the audit would be completed, but based on discussing it with the auditors yesterday, we have final draft numbers now. So I'm going through and doing the summaries, the management discussion and analysis, et cetera. And we hope, I need to have that to the audit, everything complete to the auditors by May 10th, so that they can present to you hopefully on May 28th, if you all are available for a Friday meeting. Now, I realize that that is the Friday before Memorial Weekend. So if that doesn't work, we can certainly push it off another week. Again, it doesn't have to be on a Friday, but that seems to be what the commission prefers, is that Friday meeting. And we can discuss that at the end of the meeting if you'd like, when we get to just kind of setting the next meeting. But I wanted to show you kind of where we were kind of pre-audit with the fund balance. We actually added to the overall fund balance at the end of 2020 by just over $1 million. Now, of course, the way we did that is that we really postponed almost all projects, and we did quite a bit of reduction of expenditures in 2020. So revenues did go down as, as we expected it. And we only collected about, 93%, we were down almost $1 million in revenue over what we had anticipated. Now, remember that reduction, that almost $1 million reduction, includes the $734,000 that we received in grant revenue that was unexpected. Had we not gotten that grant, we would have been down about $1.5 million. Most of that in sales tax. So I wanted to just kind of show that we did respond to the pandemic, knowing that our revenues were going to go down. We reduced costs. We, of course, then didn't do those, I would call them services, but they were more really capital projects that translate into more services for the community. Those have been postponed. We are going to try and get quite a few of those things accomplished in 2021. But I just wanted to give you that kind of quick overview and see if you had any questions at this point on how the budget kind of fell out for the end of 2020. But then, of course, you will get a more in-depth presentation at your next meeting from the auditors.
Okay, well, to me, the good news is we can tighten our belts, but we certainly had help. And then we'll be looking to find out how that impacts what we do this year. Do we have any great report, Pam? You're very great with explaining. And I don't see any questions.
One just quick question. Again, appreciate all the efforts and everything
Sure.
we did as a city. I think that was very appropriate last year. This is looking forward, but do we expect this sort of unexpected grant? Do we know if there's any additional state or federal money that we might be getting in 21, or it's just impossible to know at this point?
I think we have a very good possibility. There's a new, I don't know if it's a new act. It's called the American Rescue.
That's a $1.9 trillion one.
Yeah. American Rescue Plan. And it's, we anticipate, at least the numbers that I think MML calculated. I'm not sure if that's correct, Bob. Somebody calculated what our potential, the city's potential receipt from that would be a little over 2 million, but that will be over a 4-year period. And so far, we don't have enough real details on that to know what we will be able to claim. Obviously, it's going to be related to COVID and the pandemic. It looks like we will be able to claim loss of revenue, but to me, it doesn't look like we will be able to claim any of the sales tax loss. Now, I don't know that for sure yet. The statement in the what I've read says that it would not include taxes. So I think we are still waiting for more clarification. But, we will be able to hopefully claim things like the loss of the program revenue in parks, any other, expenses that we have. Even if we have people out that go out sick, or we can claim money off of our taxes for people going to get the vaccine, you know, the sick time loss for that. And if somebody has a reaction to the vaccine and are out for a day, we can claim some of that as costs. So we're beginning to understand a little bit more what we will be able to claim, because I'm assuming, let's put it that way, that in order to claim that 2 million plus, we have to show either expenses that are qualified expenses like we have in the past, or qualified revenue loss. So that's certainly a potential.
Yeah, and I think that will be coming through the county. And I know that tomorrow the county has a webinar meeting. I thought it was in person, but I think it's more webinar on conceptual ideas of how the county might move forward with some of these projects. And I've gotten some input from our mayor and Mr. Shelton to share with Tim Fitch, who is our county councilman. So, okay, thank you for that. Let's move on to the Fire and EMS Task Force update. And you all have the summary that was sent out, and you have a document that talks about options. And so, again, today is not about asking questions about all the options. And Bob, can you go ahead and explain? Something's going on. Oh, okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to bring that up just in case people didn't have that in front of them.
Okay, so Bob, can you go ahead, explain this, and then get into the process of what we need from the feedback that we need back?
Certainly. So this information, again, as you'll see at the top, is very draft, very preliminary information. The Fire and EMS Task Force, it was a special task force appointed. They've been meeting over the last 10 months. They've had approximately 10 meetings. They have had some subgroup meetings, just to kind of try to come up with some basic recommendations to send on to the board. So what the task force asked at their last meeting was to begin to take these options to both the Police, Fire, and EMS Commission and the Ways and Means Commission. So they met, or this was presented to Police Fire Tuesday night and is obviously being presented to you today. So I'll just kind of walk through these. And again, what we'll want to do is ask for any feedback, if you can get it to us within the next week, because the Fire Task Force will meet again May 13th. Okay, so
these will be suggestions in writing that you will email to Bob or me.
perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
So the first option that was discussed by the task force was basically status quo. What you have now, the one fire station at Clayton and Mason, which has a pumper and an ambulance. We have reduced the staffing there to 5, and the fire district strongly recommends full staffing of 6, which is 4 on the pumper, 2 on the ambulance. So what they have done is just applied a tax rate. Obviously, you all know 100% of the cost of this is covered out of the general fund. So what we're currently paying, as you'll see down below, is for all services 4.1. That's net of the rent we charge for the building. But in order to make some improvements to the building and to add the additional staff, the estimated cost would be 4.3 million. I'm sorry, 4.6. If you were going to have a property tax to cover that, both a commercial and residential, it's estimated that would be approximately 53 cents. And the average household, median household in Town and Country, $650,000, would pay $655 a year. The second option that was discussed would be one new station more centrally located. We do not have what this location would be, but the station would have a ladder truck compared to a pumper, and it would have an ambulance as you have now. This scenario includes some $2 million to purchase some land and then $5 million to build a building. The capital cost would be a little bit higher because of the ladder truck, and the operating would be the same as scenario 1, 4.3. So the total estimated annual cost would be 5.1 million, which would be a property tax of 58 cents per hundred of assessed value, $716 per household on that average annual house. Now, the question came up, what would the cost be after the initial building and land were paid off? And these are figured at a 15-year financing at 3.2%. So that number, that 5.1 would drop to the 4.5 million, and that tax rate would drop to 52 cents. Again, this would be in 15 years. And the annual cost would be 636. Obviously, those numbers would all change in 15 years, but this is just to get an order of magnitude. So option 3 would be one new station, more strategically located to serve, and I think you all know the response times in wards 1 and 4 currently take longer than what the national average recommends. So this, keep your current station and add one new station. You would have a pumper and an ambulance at one, a ladder and an ambulance at the other. The total cost for this scenario is estimated at 9.1 million, would be $1.03 annual tax rate, 1,272 for the average household. And again, you'll see then the number that drops down after the 15 years, 8.6 million, 98 cents, and 1,210. They also discussed 3 light, and what this would be one new station with, and this says ladder, but more likely it would be a pumper only, and then continue your existing station with an ambulance and a ladder truck. This is a scenario that is utilized by the city of Ladue and also the city of Kirkwood. And the question came up at police fire, why wouldn't you have 2 ambulances? Because we run more EMS calls. The fire service will tell you you need a pumper with paramedics on it to be able to respond and render first aid, and then an ambulance can come and transport. But you need that pumper to get the 4-minute response for the fires. So the cost for this 3 light estimated 7 million. The property tax rate looks like it dropped off on my sheet, but would be 80 cents. And that would be $988 annually. After 15 years, that would drop to 6.5 million because you paid off your capital, 74 cents, and then $915. The fourth option, and again, all of these would be the city owning these facilities and contracting with West County. Fourth option, city build 2 new stations. And this would be, this scenario assumes one would be located at City Hall, and one on the City Hall property, one would be located at the Salt Mill property, which we own some property out there. The annual cost would be 10 million, 5 million per station. And then our capital of 600,000, total cost 9.4 million. It would be $1.07 to start, or an annual cost of 1,321. And then after the 15 years, we drop to 8.6 million estimate, 98 cents per hundred, and 1,210. I will note that the Police Fire Task Force did bring up a good point that there could be some land cost at the salt mill if we needed some additional property to purchase from MoDOT. So we will look at that scenario and any land costs that may be incurred. 5 and 6 are really the same. This would be if the community wanted to be annexed by the fire district. The fire district indicates they would build 2 new stations. They would fully outfit them, one with a pumper and an ambulance, one with a ladder and an ambulance. The current tax rate for the fire district is 98 cents. That would cost 1,210 estimate for the average household. And by 2024, the fire district will pay off some bonds and their rate would go down to 88 cents or 1,087 estimate per household. So I think what Alderman Allen was asking is if there's any feedback kind of on these, and I know they're very broad, but kind of the financial aspect that we're looking at here, some additional information you all think should be included or feedback you would want to send to the task force.
Okay, so what we're looking for, and Alderman Mortland requested of his commission the other evening for them to send specific questions, and they're focusing more on operations. We are looking at also, we need to consider operations and see a big picture, but what we're looking for right now is a combination of analyzing the concerns that people have. It's always nice to know what you want. On the other hand, it's often, well, first of all, you have to figure out if you can pay for it. And the elephant out there all the time, I believe, is the messaging of the whole picture to our community. If we take something, whatever we do, we're probably going to take something to the voters, and it will be all about hoping that the voters become informed of a big picture, not just a current, but a long range picture. But it's believed by many that something needs to be done potentially differently, or other people say, well, you know, what do we have now? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we will have more specific information from West County to share with residents. And so this was just the first start. We're assuming right now we could spend hours and hours speculating. We would rather move in a very concise process, going toward discussions that are meaningful as we get input from all. Is that, Bob, does that kind of cover it, what we're trying to get to?
Yes.
Okay, so
I have a question, Sue.
briefly. Go ahead, quickly.
Question is, I guess with the operating number, I would have been interested in seeing what the staff, associated staff is with that number, because I understand fire departments are generally unionized.
Yes.
What kind of staff obligation you might have associated with that?
Great question. So that would be one that if you can forward that to us in the email, we are going to, our next meeting is the 13th of May. So when we accumulate all of your questions and concerns, and we'd like those to either me or Bob, or actually, if you can send it to both of us, that'd be great, by May 7th. So that's a week from today, close, end of business, week from today, end of business. Then we will have that information to organize it in a process with the, again, the concerns from Fire and EMS Commission. We'll put those concerns and questions, because I'm sure there'll be overlap, and work in a very directed process without speculating. But we've got, I know you all have great questions, and we need to be able to have those answered in a very organized way so that we move forward. But task force has we've covered a lot of information, and so I think I hope this is answering many questions, but I know it's not answering every question. So that's why we need those follow-up questions from you so we can move forward and get those back to you. And I would like to see this commission, as all of the commissions and the board, very much informed, because that's the only way we're going to be able to inform the public on any possible actions that we take. So your questions are very important. Okay, so I'm looking at our agenda, and I believe we talked about management partners, public works audit, didn't we?
You do have a question or some.
Oh, I'm sorry, Oz, I didn't see. Go ahead.
Well, since I don't email, will you take it in a handwritten form?
Yes, and I will pick it up from your home if you let me
No,
know.
I'll mail it to you or drop it off at City Hall, one of the two.
Okay, yeah, well, if you'll call and leave a message when it's there, I'll get it.
But, and this is part of my question, and I'm sure other people have the same question.
Exactly.
I see all these various options. I also understand that the commission or the committee or task force is leaning towards the 2 firehouse option, which I won't go into right now.
I don't know that you can assume that.
Okay. What's the overall time frame? Our contract currently expires when? The end of December?
We have to have, and Bob, if I misspeak, but we have to have a solution and know what we're going to do by December 31st of 2021, right, Bob? And our contract goes until December 31st of 22. That's right.
And they will cover us service-wise until we get whatever option we pick in place.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, and I know this year we've had to cover some extra costs in order to this past year, so. Okay.
One last comment and question. I'm sure there are residents of the city that are watching this meeting right now. What if they have questions? Can they send them to you or Bob?
I'd say yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, yes. The more information and feedback people have in it, hopefully along the way, people will be engaged, and we will, and I hope and expect Ways and Means to have a very active part in this whole picture as we move forward.
Because in my opinion, there's a whole lot of meat that needs to be put on these bones before any decisions can be made.
Yes, and that's why we're trying to hone down the process so that happens for everything.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, so we did cover the management partners. Yes, Bob, I think we did that adequately.
I think so, unless there are any other questions.
Okay, any other questions? And I don't see any. Okay, Pam, can we go to the business license survey? And again, we're cutting into the time, but and we do have a hard stop at 10 o'clock. So Pam, please, business license survey.
And I'm going to turn this over to Ryan. I am going to see if I can find, that's the right.
I can keep this brief. We've got, according to my math, we have 7.5 minutes per agenda item at this point, so I will be brief. The late finance director Betty Cotner created a survey in 2009 of business license fees business fees, annual business fees for the city of Town and Country versus peer cities, 8 other cities. I've updated that data. An annual business fee is basically composed of, a municipal property tax, fire district tax, a business license fee, and a utility tax. So Betty at the time developed or simulated 4 separate types of businesses, small office, large office, small retail, and large retail, and then compared those business fees associated with each between Town and Country and its peer cities. And based on that data, what I can say is that Town and Country is more comparable now than it was in 2009 with its peer cities. The difference between then and now is that taxes have gone up in a number of our peer cities, fire district taxes, municipal taxes. Obviously, the Town and Country, we would assign a utility tax and a business license fee, but we don't have a fire district tax or a property tax. So while we are kind of on the above median in terms of our annual business fees, for instance, a small office in Town and Country, the fees assigned would only be 6 out of 9. A large office, we're the 3rd highest out of our peer cities, 3rd out of 9. Small retail is 4th out of 9. And then large retail is where we're the outlier. We charge double the next closest peer city in terms of business license fee at $2 per $1,000 of gross receipts up to 10 million. But otherwise, we're somewhat in the middle with all our other peer cities. So this data is just provided for context to give you an idea of kind of where the costs associated for a business, where we lie on that spectrum, and just wanted to update that and provide that to you all.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Go ahead quickly.
If we had a property, if we had a property tax, these numbers will look different then, won't they?
That's correct, yes.
That'll put us on the more upper end of the spectrum. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what
If
does that
nothing
mean?
else changed, correct.
What will that mean to us exactly? Does that make us less competitive?
I'll respond that obviously the adding a property tax into this for the commercial end of it would bring us more into line. You can see all those either with the yellow or the red currently have a property tax either for general city services or for fire district. And the only one that does not have either fire district or regular property tax other than us is DePere. And DePere does have the 0.5-cent sales tax. So I think the next piece at our next meeting, I'd like to ask Ryan to put together is that overall tax scenario and how Town and Country compares. Because again, when you look at your sales tax rates and your property tax rates, Town and Country's on the low end, very low. And so what you're high on are your business license fees.
Again, people see the whole picture.
I'd like to maybe bring just that chart up at your May meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any further questions on that? And I don't.
It's a good piece of
Yeah.
work.
It is. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. We're a little behind schedule, but we're doing fairly well considering. Local use tax. Can we get that covered?
I'll start. So I know this group has discussed this in the past. As you probably have seen, several cities are beginning to put the use tax on the ballot. This applies to business purchases. It's your sales tax, but for items that don't apply for the typical sales tax, and it also would apply to internet sales. So the thought has been for many of the cities west of 270 is to wait until the state passes the use tax, which is called Wayfair, and it looks like that's kind of moving through the House and the Senate. And then also a big item is that St. Louis County, the majority of our general fund sales tax revenue is the 1 cent charged by the county. The county would have to adopt this in order for us to receive our full tax rate on the use tax. So currently, if you passed the use tax in Town and Country, it would only apply to the stormwater, parks and stormwater, the capital improvement, and your 1/4 cent local option. Correct, Pam?
Correct.
Yeah. So Pam pulled up some numbers for me. It looks like in 2018, the city would have generated a little less than $350,000 in use tax revenue, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it would be park and stormwater, capital improvement, and then a 1/4 of it for local option. So again, a big benefit for the use tax would be if the county adopts it, then we would receive the 1 cent. But it would have to go to the voters no matter what.
Right. And I just want to throw out, I believe General Assembly adjourns 2 weeks from today. It's Friday. And, we did have the bill, and basically it's 4 words that would have helped us if we were to be able to do what the pair did. That has gone by the wayside. I don't know what happened to it, but it's gone. And so it was just enabling legislation, and that did not happen. We'll keep trying, but a lot of what we consider is dependent on some of these things that go on in Jeff City.
And I
So,
asked, I'm sorry, Bob, did you say that if you wanted to do this local use tax, you'd have to go to the voters for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
okay, thank you. A good question, Janine. All right, the liquor license code changes. Can we cover that, please?
Yeah, I'd be glad to start. So we looked at our liquor license fees because we're obviously always want to keep an eye on our fees. And we are right in line with the peer cities. One of the items that Ms. Wrights and I had looked at, and we've had a request from a couple of our businesses, is our Sunday by the drink liquor license. And currently, the city of Town and Country requires, in order to obtain a Sunday by the drink, that you have 50% of your sales in food or more than $200,000 annually. So the 2 vendors who would like to have the option of selling by the drink on Sundays do not. St. Louis Beer and Winemaking, and then the future business, the Wine Crush, to go into Town Square. So it would be our recommendation that we present to the board that state law does not require this. It's a Town and Country regulation, that we amend our code to allow them to purchase a Sunday by the drink license, even if they don't meet that minimum food thing. So any discussion or recommendation would be appreciated.
Do we have time for that now?
Does this require a vote of this committee today?
I would appreciate it. We don't have to do it today. If you want to come back to your May meeting, if there are any questions, that's sufficient.
Do the peer cities that surround us, do they have this Sunday by the drink on their codes?
There is, it does appear that this is a somewhat common regulation, that you do have to have the $200,000 or the 50% food. However, some of the cities that are trying to entertain having a wine bar that could be open on Sunday have relaxed this restriction. So, but to answer your question, Ms. Fabic, it is somewhat common to have this, but there are other cities that do not have this.
Well, now that you finally are getting some businesses into town square, I think you should do everything you can to help them be as successful as possible.
Yeah.
Any
The board
other?
certainly I'm sorry, the board certainly has taken an approach to try to assist our small businesses and restaurants any way we can.
We have.
So this would help the new wine bar, right? That's what you're looking for. Is that right, Bob?
And the St. Louis beer and what's beer winemaking? Is that what he's called?
What's that over there? Is that the one over by Ace Hardware?
Exactly.
Yes.
I didn't even know you could go in there and get a drink, but okay.
They do tastings.
Yeah.
Do they? Okay.
All right. Well,
I agree with that as well. If there are no further discussions, could we just vote on it today? So we,
Yeah.
approve?
sure. I would entertain a motion.
So moved. I move that we do this, whatever this is.
Okay. So we have a
Whatever it
motion.
is.
We have a second
I'll second it.
and a second. All those in favor of moving forward with this change, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed by no, and that carries. So we do have a recommendation from Ways and Means.
So that's selling liquor by the drink, even if you don't meet the food standard, correct? That's what we voted.
Correct.
That
All
is,
right.
okay.
Okay.
All right. So we are moving forward to the economic update.
Thank
And
you.
Go ahead.
Pam, can I pull that up or do you have that? Okay. As requested by the Ways and Means Commission, I provided an economic update. Pam and Bob have to be the sober realists. I get to be a little more optimistic. 2020 sales tax data, we were down, but I think it could have been a great deal worse. 42% of our taxable sales are generated by just 4 businesses. And luckily for us, those 4 businesses are basically pandemic proof, grocery and hardware related businesses. The top 55 vendors in town were only down 5%, 2020 compared to 2019. When you look at overall, it was 7% down and 1% sales tax. So while it was, it was a rough year, it could have been a lot worse. We're more fortunate than Frontenac and Pear, Chesterfield, which were severely impacted, especially in the second quarter. For instance, Frontenac was down 65% their second quarter 2020 compared to 2019. Pear 50% nearly, and Chesterfield by 30%. Meanwhile, we were only down at our worst 0.15% 2020 compared to 2019 in the second quarter. Still waiting on the fourth quarter numbers from the state, but I think it just goes to show that we were able to navigate the waters, fortunately for us. In terms of 2021 sales tax data, it's hard to really pin down the numbers in real time because businesses report in different manners, monthly and quarterly. Based on what we're seeing so far, though, for the first 2 months of the year compared to last year, the pandemic economy is still somewhat in place. Restaurants, first 2 months of the year, still down 20% compared to where they were in 2020, which was pre-pandemic. And general retail as well is slightly down, while, like I said before, pandemic-proof businesses like grocery, hardware are up, and home goods as well is up. The good news is there's a lot more communication regarding new businesses coming into town from my office. Also, we can confirm that Blacksmith Grove is almost going to be fully occupied by the end of the year. We'll have wine bar moving in, a restaurant. Both of those businesses will be taking over 6,000 square feet of space, leaving just one lease space remaining. Clementine's is filling out their space next to Straub's in Mason Woods Village. Dogtopia took the last 4 remaining spaces down in Manchester Meadows, and they're working diligently to open. Porter Perry should be open hopefully any week now. Also, we've got movement at the Steinmart location. I was hoping I could say specifically who the retailer is going to be, but we don't have an official application, hopefully next week. But it's a large national brand, so that will be good, and backfill a space that is significant at Town and Country Crossing, which basically leaves just Gold's Gym and Manchester Meadows. The former Gold's Gym space is the last remaining large retail space available currently. When you look at the centers themselves, looking at data from 2016 compared to 2020, they're all for the most part healthy and strong. The Town and Country Crossing is above the $1 million mark in terms of taxable sales. The Manchester Meadows is come back strongly after the loss of Walmart. Woods Mill Plaza with Schnucks is doing well. Clayton Village that is showing the impact of Panera and Jimmy John's and Katie's Pizza. And then hopefully Blacksmith Grove, as we update the data, those numbers will start to go up as well. Woods Mill Center remains on the market and is most of those tenants are month to month. So at some point there, hopefully we'll have redevelopment, but there's nothing firm at this point. In terms of building permits, 2020 there was a significant negative impact on commercial. For instance, we only had 12 commercial permits in all 2020 for a paltry 5,600 fee value. And just at this point this year, we've doubled that, 26 permits, and that is 65,000. So, businesses are starting to do more work. There's more optimism about the future. We're getting back to a normal building trend in terms of commercial. Residential has always been strong. It was strong in 2020. It's very strong this year. It's an extremely strong housing market right now. There's an article in the Post this morning about how it's just off the charts in terms of the demand for new housing. And in Town and Country, we've already reviewed 15 new homes for the year and another 7 on the agenda for Monday. So we'll do as well or better than last year in terms of our housing stock, new housing stock, infill housing stock. So that's a positive that remains and unchanged. So that's the basic economic update that I have for you today.
Okay, and a question, is the Cleaver and Cocktails, is that the Del Pietro's restaurant?
Yes.
I hadn't heard that name, and they will be evidently cutting the steaks as they are serving. So I've heard that's going to be quite a restaurant. Good food.
So even with those spaces taken, the Wild Crush and the Cleaver thing, there's still 900 square feet left?
Yeah, I actually think
that location?
There actually might be more. There might be a typo. There might actually be, I think there's probably closer to 1,300 square feet, somewhere 900 to 1,300 square feet. I don't know the exact number, but somewhere in there. There's one leased space left.
Well, that's a much larger space than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
That surprises me. I'd like to make one request. If you would see how this thing copied for me, all I got was a black background and a bunch of red lines. I got no numbers or anything on this one building permit chart. So somehow can I get a copy of the building permit chart?
Yes, sir.
Another copy that's readable.
I'll get it for you, Oz. Are you talking about this one?
Yes. The last
I'll
one.
just send you a new version,
very
or
last
I'll
page.
make a copy of the full packet for you.
It's just the building permit charge. There it is, with all the red lines on it. That's all.
Okay,
What I've got is just a black background and a whole bunch of red lines with nothing else on there.
No words, okay.
So I didn't know what it was.
Well, that would clarify a lot if you had the words, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Okay,
very good presentation, Ryan, really.
Oh, thank you.
okay, do we,
Whoops, I got a question, Sue.
sure, Randy, go ahead, please.
I had passed this article on to both you and Bob, and I discussed it with Oz, and he thought it'd be good to bring it up. But Deerbergs, when they had that fire, apparently they had sales tax interruption insurance with Lloyd's of London, which they also have on West County Mall, which is in a disagreement right now regarding such coverage for COVID-19. But we're reliant on some, well, 4 of them that Ryan had pointed out. Do we have any kind of coverage like that? Or should we maybe look into it? I figured Bob might have some experience with it because Frontenac Plaza had it.
Yes, Randy, my experience is the coverage is expensive, the deductible is high, and the opportunity for claim is low. So as you read, the DePere claim, their big claim has been denied for COVID. The claim with Deerbergs, I think they're getting a little bit over the deductible, so it's a small amount. And the annual premiums, now we can get a quote on premium for the sales tax interruption policy. Frontenac, DePere, and Richmond Heights have them because of the malls. But we could look at obtaining policies for our larger sales tax generators and then present that information to you all.
Okay, and would the cost of those premiums then be passed on to the tenants?
I don't think you could, I don't know how you could do that.
I think you could, okay. Okay, well, that's a good question. I appreciate always lots of good thoughts and questions on the city finances. Okay, any other comments regarding the economic update? Actually, I believe we have covered most things. And Oz, I'll get to you in 1 second, but I do want to say again, welcome Janine. This is kind of how it works with our Ways and Means. We always have great comments. We do need to look forward to a next date, and I'm suggesting that Bob and Pam, and we can talk with our mayor, because I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like the Fridays, we always had those meetings because those were better for Mayor Dalton. Is that correct? And might there be looking at the May 26th or 27th even, because the May the 28th date could impact people if they were to looking at that holiday weekend. So that's just a thought. Oz, what did you had a question or comment?
I have 2, actually. It goes back to fire and EMS.
Okay.
The chart you showed for this meeting has some additional information on it relative to the chart that we got for the meeting. You follow me?
Correct.
I would like to get a copy of the latest chart, the one they showed here at this meeting.
Sure.
So if you could email that, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And I got to thinking about this, everybody writing their own comments and taking whatever amount of time. It seems to me that we could get a group of people and sit down and put down our concerns, and you all could sit in and listen to our concerns about this fire thing instead of having, I don't know, 10 people write up their own ideas, so to speak. In other words, that requires another meeting. I prefer face-to-face as opposed to Zoom.
If it
Because
would
we-
not be going against any restrictions, I'd be happy to meet with a few people at a time. I mean, we can wear a mask if we have to, if we want to meet over at Longview or at the municipal center. I know our workroom now is not available, correct, Bob? And, but I'd be happy to do that. Bob, do you have a concern about that?
Not at all. If you want to have a subcommittee, address any of the issues or the comments that come up, you could certainly do that, and you could meet even at the firehouse. We have a meeting room there.
At the one on Clayton Road? We can do that, okay.
Regular meetings.
What, can you start all over, Randy?
When might we return to regular in-person meetings? Do you have any idea?
So I'd be glad to address that, Madam Chair. The current county regulations require 6 feet separation. And in order for us to have a meeting with a commission and open to the public, even though we don't get a lot of people at Ways and Means, you have to provide the opportunity according to the Attorney General. So by meeting on Zoom, everybody can see this meeting, everybody can watch this meeting, and people can submit comment. So when that 6 feet gets reduced by the county to potentially 3 feet, and I don't know when that will be, then I think we're in good shape to begin meeting in person.
You know, based on what I just suggested, Madam Chairman, we could set up another Zoom and have a group of people get together and throw their ideas on the table regarding the fire and EMS thing.
That is correct. I'm just looking at my calendar.
I know you get us awful tight deadline, May the 7th, which is a week from today. Maybe we need a little more time.
Well, you're saying you need more time after the 7th or before the 7th?
Well, I don't know if we can make the 7th, that's all. I think I can. I just can't do it on the 5th. I got to get vaccinated.
Okay, well, that's important. I mean, that's really important. Okay, I'm just looking at my calendar. Monday, if people, based on what you have today, what you know today, if you have concerns in calendars, I'd be happy to meet with anybody. Give me, so on Monday afternoon, the 3rd, I'm available actually anytime from 12:30 until 4 probably. And I would encourage, and hopefully we could send out the YouTube. I don't know, Bob, do you think if we sent out the YouTube meeting of the Fire and EMS Commission the other night, to me, that would be informative for our commissioners to hear that discussion.
Yes, all of the fire and EMS meetings, I'm sorry, yeah, fire and EMS are on the website. You can go watch those on the YouTube. And
For the commission, not the task force, the commission.
Both. The Fire and EMS Commission from
Yes.
Tuesday is posted, and the Fire Task Force is posted.
Yes.
And I do recommend watching those. If a subcommittee is going to meet, Madam Chair, we would need to notice that and post that, and it would need to be an open meeting. Obviously, your only agenda item is discussion, but in order to follow the rules,
Okay,
we have to post that meeting. It has to be an open meeting, and we can do it on YouTube. That's no problem.
and how much time do we need ahead?
24 hours.
24 hours? So if we were to say, and does that 24 hours of work of,
I would recommend that. I recommend that.
yeah, okay. So Monday won't work. Well, unless we got it posted shortly for Monday afternoon. So does that, anybody available Monday afternoon?
No.
No?
Let me see.
No.
This is your chance. Or one chance.
Any other alternatives, or that's it?
I'm sorry, what, Randy?
Is that the only alternative? That's the only option then, Monday afternoon?
Okay. If not Monday afternoon, and you know what? Bob, what if individuals of the commission were to do this without one of us? Do we need that? If they were going to operate as subcommittee, do we need one of us to be there?
We do not need to be there. Even if you're going to have a subcommittee, they would still need to let us know if it's a quorum. So if you're going to have, I guess, more than 4, I don't know your exact quorum number, you would still want to post that meeting so any public could provide input.
All right. And I'm just looking where I have 2 or 2.5 hours next week, and that was the only one I have. But if you all want to do something, unless it's next Friday at 9 o'clock, I could do from 9 to 11. Would that be an option?
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do next Friday.
Okay, well then, okay, so as far as if members, you all members want to come up with times you can get together, we just need to have that information and we can post it. Is that correct, Bob? And then you can function as subcommittee. And that you know, whenever you do that, if you need to get it at the end of the week, then that would give you time to come up with your questions. So that's a thought, and just let us know what you would like to do with that. Okay,
So
everyone.
we need to let you know how we want to handle this. Is that
Well,
right?
yeah, let us or let Bob know so it can get posted.
Well, I'm the only one that suggested it. I don't know how the other members of the committee feel about this.
Okay, how about if they communicate back to you
Oh,
and you guys will determine it. We'll set up the Zoom if that needs to happen. And if it is a Zoom, if you wanted, but otherwise it's a good work subcommittee for Ways and Means. So, all right. I had said it's a hard 10 o'clock's a hard stop. It's 10:02. And I really appreciate people's comments. Pam, did you have a quick question?
We've lost quite a few people here, so I was hoping we could get a date for the next meeting, but why don't I send out an email to everybody? Because I do need to coordinate that with the auditors and make sure that somebody is available there. So the sooner we can get a date set, the better.
Great. Okay, we'll look forward to that.
but a question about that. The auditors will present the results of the audit at that meeting,
Yes.
and they will have the typical document, what do you call it? The detailed report, they'll have it available for that meeting?
If that is the plan. Now I have to
Okay.
get everything to them by May 10th. Now,
That
as
would
for
be-
the paper, as I recall last year, it was a little bit later getting the actual physical paper reports.
Right.
So we will have a document. Whether or not I will have all the printed and bound reports, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, all right, I am off the screen. That's because I have to prepare to go somewhere else. So thank you all for great attention, good comments. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank, and a second. Thank you all. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.